It's Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John. There's Richard. You're free.
I am free. I am free.
Wow. Look at that. You got a little new background happening and everything. What's going on?
Hey, we're getting ready for July and all the fun in July. So yeah, this is my new background. I'm going to be using these displays for our live sales. So it's exciting times.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that. You guys are asking us when we're going to have a next live sale. How about Friday? We're going to do it Friday. What do you say, Richard? 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, then let's make it a date. Live sale, Bronze and Modern Gods on our Instagram, which is bronzeandmoderngods.com. Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Or if you're Richard, 8 p.m. Eastern. And while you're at it, give us a like. If you like what you see and you want to see more, subscribe. We had someone leave a comment this week like, hey, I subscribed, but I lost you guys and I'm glad I found you again. You can prevent that from ever happening again by hitting that notification bell. That way, you'll never lose us and you'll be in our pocket forever.
We'll keep coming back and back and back and back.
We'll be back. Oh, no, not Arnold again. No more Arnold. Hey, our main topic today, our top 5 underrated Black Widow keys. Hey, that's finally opening, right?
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm actually looking forward to going back to the theater for a change.
I know. I saw the Sparks documentary in a theater. I was about the only person in there, which was great. I didn't feel weird at all. I was like, but I kind of want to see Black Widow in the theater too. So we're going to cover that today. All sorts of good stuff having to do with our favorite Russian femme fatale. We've got the 25-year rule, underrated books of the week. Let's get it going, Richard, with our hot book of the week on fire. It's Ghost Rider.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. Okay, Marvel Spotlight number 5 is the first appearance of the first Ghost Rider. This is back in 1972, and this is a really tough cover, all black. And now, John, does this count as a picture frame?
It sure does. It's right in that era when Marvel had, if you guys don't know, picture frame covers. As you can see, it was a trade dress design where for some reason Marvel had this idea of putting everything inside this border for about a year. And this is one of the toughest ones because those black covers, you have different collectors going after this book. You've got people that love Ghost Rider. You've got picture frame collectors. You've got Bronze Age fans that want all the first appearance of Bronze Age keys. So I'm not surprised about this sale you've brought to us today.
Right. Back on the 17th of June, Heritage had an auction, and this book in 9.8 sold for an incredible $264,000 with the
Is that all?
That's with the buyer premium. Now, the buyer premium, if anybody who's ever bought or sold on Heritage knows, it's a whopping 20% of the cost or the final auction bid of the comic. So expensive book, and this is golden age expensive in my opinion.
It's $250,000 plus. I mean, let's not minimize the amount that this book sold for. And you can get, I don't know, maybe you still can get a super low grade Captain America #1 for that much.
Yeah, I wonder how high up the chain of AF-15 can you get for that kind of
money? Right. What do you think? Wise or not?
In this market, I have to say, looking at the pattern for this book, that seems to be an anomaly. There's only been 3 sales on GPA for this book at 9.8. One in 2013 for $13,000, one in 2016 for $48,000, and then we have this $264,000 sale.
Kind of went up there the last year.
Yeah, frankly, obviously it's a tough book to grade if there's only been 3 sales. So when this copy came up, it was, pay what the market will bear, which was $264,000. So in that regards, this is in my opinion, a true gauge of what the current market values this book at. But the market is fickle, and if it's fickle by 20%, if the value of this drops 20%, that's $52,000 that you're going to lose in the value of this book. So I would much rather, if I had $264,000 to spend, first of all, I would be single, and then I would probably invest it in a different key, probably a Silver Age key instead of a Bronze Age key, like AF-15 or Fantastic Four #1. I think those have a better resistance to the market forces, and they're just proven blue chips.
We're seeing things like there was an article in Forbes last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, about comic books and how they're actually a better investment than some stocks or bonds or Bitcoin or things like that. And people that like Ghost Rider, I'm kind of looking at you. I'm kind of looking at me. Guys in their mid,
Nick Cage fans,
yeah, who grew up with that character and now they've got disposable income, and they're looking towards retirement. And I have to wonder how many people are fans that are doing this, or is this like that? Like I said last week, is this like the housing market being invaded by big investors? It's really strange. There's something going on. It doesn't pass the sniff test.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely super fans, but $264,000 to me is over what I would consider a super fan's investment. If you're only a fan of the character, a 9.6 is a fraction of that cost. You could easily have one of those instead. I don't know. I think this may have been bidding exuberance. The real test will be if a second one sells, and it sells someplace close to that number. If a second one sells for 140,000, then this was obviously an outlier. But if the next one sells for 300,000, then it's a good deal. We just don't have enough empirical data.
But this is crazy money. This is like Rockstar has a hobby, Nicolas Cage, when he collect comics money, but it wasn't anywhere near this. Who has $250,000 to spend on his Marvel Spotlight #5?
I would like to be that man's best friend.
Right? Let's meet. Let's hook up. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We're always curious. All right, moving on to our main topic this week, our top 5 underrated Black Widow keys. All right, it's finally here. It's finally opening. The Black Widow movie, long awaited, kind of anticlimactic at the last couple of months. But then I saw another trailer drop, and now it's like, okay, it looks exciting again.
Yeah, this is one of those, the rollout has been so long. It's like, that buildup that's supposed to happen from a trailer to the launch of the movie, that was 8 months ago. So, it's going to be a difficult haul for this movie to make the kind of money it could have made if it launched at an original date.
Slightly delayed by world events, but finally happening. So I don't know. I got a feeling she's coming back, like through time travel or some other kind of weird thing.
I hope so. Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of that character to me is top notch. I couldn't ask for a better Black Widow.
Well, let's dig in. My first underrated Black Widow key is Amazing Adventures #1 from 1970. This is the first solo Black Widow story. Always kind of been a bit of a dog of a Bronze Age #1. Apparently, there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies of this book. I saw it everywhere growing up. It's never sold traditionally for more than 10, 15, 20 bucks in high grades. But a 9.8 sold for $440 last June, which I think, in retrospect, is insanely low. Imagine any other Marvel movie headliner, their first solo appearance going for $440 and 9.8. Even Captain Marvel.
Right. Oh, absolutely. This I think most of her keys, there are a couple exceptions, are just languishing. I don't understand why people aren't being drawn to them. It's a well-established character that's ongoing. I don't think this is her last movie. So
everybody goes for Tales of Suspense 52. Got it. It's her first appearance.
Right.
But look at her in that first appearance. She's wearing a cocktail dress.
Yeah.
She's got the little hat with the little thing over, you know. It's more like she's hosting a dinner party. She doesn't look like the Black Widow. That comes later. And in fact, that comes in your first pick.
Right. My first pick is Amazing Spider-Man number 86. This is the first new look Black Widow. In this book, Black Widow decides that she wants to combine Spider-Man's abilities with hers. So she gets a new getup, and she has these venom slingers that she has, and she gets to in a good fight with Spider-Man. Her early appearance were those awful gray costumes with fishnets, and here she's got this. You got in the notes here, Emma Peel. That's perfect. That Emma Peel style makeover, that classic 60s black catsuit look. And it's amazing. That look has been her look ever since.
Now, do you know where that actually came from? According to John Romita, he's written about this, and he designed the new costume. And you and I look at it and we think, okay, Emma Peel from the British
Right.
TV show, The Avengers. It's
Right.
very Emma Peel, which was around that time. However, John Romita says it's actually based on Miss Fury, an old Golden Age character who dressed almost just like this. He wanted to revive Miss Fury at Marvel, and Stan said, no, but let's compromise. Why don't you take the Black Widow and just make her Miss Fury? And that's what he did.
Wow. I honestly thought it was, that 60s spy character kind of look. That's as usual, you are a fount of knowledge. The last sale for our 9.8 on this book was back in 2014, but a 9.6 just sold in May for $1,335. The fact that she's not featured on the cover, except in a shadow, I think it may be affecting the value of this book.
Yeah, this is the Black Widow we all know and love. This is where she really comes into her own. And I love when I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm going to paraphrase it wrong, but she's got the new costume on. She's looking in the mirror and she's like, now I'm a real swinger. For a Russian expatriate is a weird thing to say, but okay, great. But yeah, I think this, even at $1,300 for 9.6, I think there's still room for this to grow. Mm-hmm. All right. Daredevil 81. This is after her short-lived series in Amazing Adventures got canceled in September of 1971. In November, 2 months later, she makes an appearance in Daredevil, and they would become a couple in Daredevil number 81, and she would share the masthead with Daredevil for about 3 years. The book changed from Daredevil to Daredevil and the Black Widow. She was not popular enough to sustain a solo series, but they obviously felt there was a following. Daredevil at the time was C-list, always kind of struggling to survive. And boy, this really helped sales on Daredevil. Daredevil 81 is a very tough 25-cent double-sized square-bound issue. This is from that 1 month in 1971 where Marvel doubled their page count across the line and then immediately retreated and went back to 20 cents the next month. And this is the only example of that for Daredevil. So it's really hard in grade. A 9.8 of this sold in March of this year for just $780. That is shockingly low to me.
I agree, especially with all the buoyancy in terms of values that Daredevil has seen in general over the past year.
Yeah, again, it's square bound. It's tough and grade. I didn't even know a 9.8 existed, much less just sold for under $1,000. If you see this in high grade, I collect weird things, Richard. You know this.
Yes, you do.
I collect last issues. I collect square bounds from this month. For some reason, I'm obsessed with that month in Marvel where they were like, okay, we're going to go to 48 pages of all new material every month. And then they immediately went, oh, we can't do this. So I try to collect these. And this has always been a very tough one for me in grade.
Square bound in general, especially from this era, are really, really difficult because keeping that spine square is really, really hard.
Especially in the age of pressing and people that don't know what they're doing. But enough of this one. What do you have? What's your next one?
My next one is Black Widow, Deadly Origin, number 2 from 2010. This is the first appearance of Natasha's all-white jumpsuit on this variant cover. This is cover is an 80 Granov cover. I really like his work. It's impressive. It's just really a standout. We've seen this version of the costume appear in the movie trailer as well, so we probably will see this.
It's definitely in the merchandise. There is already a figure with this costume, so it's a good pick. I'm guessing she is in Russia in the snow in Siberia or something, and that called for this costume.
Yes, I'm assuming that as well. A 9.8 of this variant sold in April for $185.
A
So it's
steal.
yeah, it's definitely an affordable book. So if you come across this book, it's definitely worth picking up. We'll as I say, we will continue to see Black Widow either in her current incarnation or as another person, but we will continue to see her.
We sure will. And the last one we're going to recommend for you this time is Daredevil 188. It's almost like a greatest hits of her different costumes here. This is the first appearance of Natasha's super cool Frank Miller designed gray jumpsuit with the up collar and the short haircut. She would actually keep this costume for more than a decade. And even when she was leading the Avengers in that title in the 90s, she had the same costume, but with a cool leather jacket that was like extreme, those extreme Avengers jackets. Oh, what an era. This is one of those rare examples, in my opinion, of someone taking an already iconic look, the John Romita white jumpsuit, and improving on it slightly, or at least taking it in a non-lame direction.
Mhm.
You look at the old costume and you're like, why would you ever change that? Well, if you're going to change it, this is the way to do it.
Bringing her into style, accentuating what she already had.
Well, it is very early 80s. And,
Pockets everywhere.
No pockets. Very sleek. It kind of, is befitting a Russian super spy with, the ability to move and things like that. No capes, no dresses, no heels, nothing dumb like that. You can tell it was Frank Miller really trying to put his stamp on the Black Widow. A 9.8 sold for $171 in April of this year. So plenty of raw copies out there. It was a hugely popular title at that time, so you should be able to find a nice raw copy.
Yeah, grab these Daredevils. I really think we're going to see Daredevil in the MCU, and when we do, these books are going to really be valuable.
I agree. Well, I need a segue for the 25-year rule. Come on, Richard. You should be responsible for this.
I can't think of anything here.
Well, in that case, it's time for the 25-year rule. Hey, all right. 1996. We're 25 years back. That's what the 25-year rule is all about. We pick a book from that year and shine our little spotlight on it. This week, Thor number 502, the final issue of the original run of Thor. Just take a second while this cover is on the screen and just soak in that costume. Soak in that 1996 costume. Lots of chains, lots of straps, pouches in there. Take it all in. Absorb it. Now, I rag on this, but it's really beautiful Mike Diodato art. It's actually a decent William Messner Loeb story. I think one of the more underrated writers of the 80s and early 90s. And it features the Enchantress, who I don't know if you're watching Loki, but you better start because we're not going to be spoiler free for long on this show. You might want to catch up before next week. Hint. This is the last issue of Thor's long-running series before he goes off to Heroes Reborn and Liefeld Leland for a year. This has a low print run. Sharp copies, though, are affordable. It'll run you $5 to $8. And the last GPA for a 9.8 was this March for a whopping $45.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're a weirdo like me that collects last issues, here's one for you. Check it off. Thor 502.
Yep, end of an era.
End of an era. But a little teaser, there's more coming from Thor and Journey into Mystery in a few minutes. But first, our underrated books of the week with Richard's pick. Go for it.
My pick is What If #1 from 1977. Now, we know What If is coming to the MCU as a animated series here sometime this year. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm surprised there really isn't that much spec around this title. I don't know if people are waiting, since it is going to be most likely an anthology series where each episode will have its own focus, if they're waiting to see what that focus is. I think that's wrong thinking. My pick is number one. It's a really interesting story. It is, what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four?
I love the little 5 on his spider emblem.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Actually, and halfway through the book, they rip off their 4s and they put the 5s on, and it's the 5 of them. This kind of predates when Spider-Man does join the Fantastic Four later on. But it's an interesting story, and it is the first book of this What If series. And the What If series continues through a variety of different anthology stories, single issue stories about certain situations that did not happen in the Marvel universe, and the Watcher leads you through alternate universes where it did happen. So we know that Marvel and Disney are going to pull from this series in some regards. So I think picking number one is a good pick, just as the first issue of this particular series. So definitely keep an eye out for this. The Raws could still be had for $50. So it's still affordable. I found Raws in some short boxes I was digging through.
Ooh.
CGC 9.8 is pricey, $758. Square bound. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. The 9.6 is only $289 though. So you have an opportunity. This is one of those books that I do this a lot, where if the 9.8 is out of my budget, but I want to be vested in that particular spec, I'll look at a 9.6, 9.4. It's more affordable. You may not make as much money on the the post sale, but you're in the game, right? Yeah. So and it pays off, especially on certain titles. So in this case, the 9.6 may be something you want to look at.
For sure. Now, you were around when this book came out. This book was a big deal. It was crazy. It was Roy Thomas's dream, to do these kind of weird, wacky stories. And it was kind of shocking to see Spider-Man actually joining a group, the perennial loner like Daredevil. And what I really want to know, and you guys can join us in the comments and let us know, how many stories throughout all the different permutations of What If actually came true? Like, what if Phoenix had lived? She did. There have to be a few more. I can't think off the top of my head.
What if Thor was a woman?
Oh yeah, exactly. What if Nova was 4 other people? Okay, Sam Alexander. How many what if stories have actually come to light in Marvel reality? I'm curious. Let us know in the comments. My pick is going back to Thor 502. When that was the last issue of Thor, the next month it became Journey into Mystery number 503, repicking up the numbering from the original Journey into Mystery, which it was called Journey into Mystery for 125 issues. They finally changed it to Thor with issue 126, and it stayed that way until Thor 502. So Journey into Mystery started out showing a series called The Lost Gods, which was everybody else from Asgard when it got destroyed were kind of scattered, and they had new identities, and they were all trying to regroup. And it was a whole long storyline about the Lost Gods. Who cares? I'm here to talk about issues 514 through 519. While Thor was off in Heroes Reborn, this became a spotlight type tryout title. And the first 2 people that they gave 3-issue tryouts to were Shang-Chi and the Black Widow. Well, what do you know, MCU? Issues 514 through 516 feature Shang-Chi, and 517, 518, and 519 feature the Black Widow solo. Extremely low print runs on these. This was in 1997, 1998, kind of like at the depth of the market here. And I went and looked, and I found print runs, $30K for the first issue with Shang-Chi. And then each issue progressively went lower. $25K for the first issue featuring Black Widow, and then they progressively went lower. The last 2 issues featured Hannibal King, Vampire Hunter. Those are 17,000 units. Very overlooked appearances of these two new MCU players, perhaps the scarcest ones that exist if you look at print runs. There are even newsstand editions of these, which I've never seen in person. I can't imagine how scarce those are. Who's going to the newsstand and picking up, oh, look at this Journey into Mystery featuring Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing those getting ordered in quantity.
And even selling, even if they were on a newsstand somewhere at a Kroger's, who picked it up? Last GPA sale for a 9.8 of number 514 was for, wait for it, $20 in February. So these are very affordable. They're very scarce. They're not very plentiful in grade. I happen to have some very high grade copies that I found for $2 each in a box at a comic shop in Cleveland when I was there in May.
Oh, awesome.
I know. So you can't get them, Richard. I already got them. But with all the attention on these two characters coming up in their own movies, I thought these were very underrated books.
I agree. The Journey into Mystery, I think, is an underrated series in itself. My pick for an underrated book coming up next week is actually going to be a Journey into Mystery choice as well.
Well, there's a teaser. In the meantime, make sure you join us Friday night on our Instagram page at Bronze and Modern Gods for a live sale. Richard, I see you have a little teaser behind you. Are those books that are going to be in the live sale?
These are books that are potentially going to be in the live sale. Yes, I have my X-Men stuff. Well, these are my X-Men books. If anybody knows me, knows I spec really hard on X-Men. I think X-Men are going to be a major facet in the next phase of the MCU. And now is the time to buy them. They may seem expensive now, but once you see Wolverine on the screen, and that's going to be it.
You guys have left comments, how does an Instagram sale work? How can I do it? Why don't you join us on Friday night on our Instagram page at Bronze and Modern Gods, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and you'll see how it's done, hopefully. We both have tons of new stuff to sell. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on Facebook and on our website down there. Give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
Trust us, we ramble like this every week. So if you like this kind of rambling, tune in.
We will see you next time. See you, Richard.
All right, see you, everybody. Stay safe.